Alright, Bitcoin is up today. Right now it's 52,339. And when it dips, you can see it gets bought right back up. Dips right back up. It did sell off pretty good here from 49 down to 38. And then look, 3 days later, up a lot. Did go sideways quite a bit, but then it just rips. Why does Bitcoin go up? And this is Bitcoin denominated in USD, the US dollar. The US national debt is $34 trillion. I'm not going to pretend that I understand the size of that number. I don't. But look over here. US federal budget deficit, $1,765,000,000,000. We haven't had a balanced budget since the last couple of years of the Clinton administration, when he could have used some of that money to pay down the debt. It was never done. They took us up, Nixon took us up the gold standard in 1971, and it's just been naked inflation ever since. They just make more dollars. 98% of it's digital. Go to a bank, try to take out a bunch of money in cash. At least, $8,000 should do it. Watch the looks on their faces as they try to figure this out. Some of you might have to fill out a form to order it because they don't have it in there. They might fill out a SAR, a suspicious activity report, on you if they don't like, your answers to their questions. This is your money you're trying to get out of the bank, but you're asking for it in paper form, and they want you to have digital form. Right now, the dollar is digital. It's been digital for a long time. It's computer money. They just punch it in the computer screen. So what do you do if you're young? And this video is specifically about how they screwed over the millennials and Generation Z. Because, the millennials came in at the end of this cycle. And Gen Z, most of their working years are going to be at the end of this cycle when this system is replaced. Now, how do you protect yourself when the dollar is being inflated at least 1.7 billion every year, and we already have a debt of 34 trillion? You have to buy things that are not denominated in the dollar. And for me, that's Bitcoin. It used to be gold and silver, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But clearly, in 2017, gold and Bitcoin, one Bitcoin was an ounce of gold. It was like $1,200. A couple days went back and forth, and then Bitcoin took off. Bitcoin right now is $52,000. Right? What's gold? $2,013? Bitcoin's gone up $51,000. Gold has gone up $800. Silver, they've kept that price of that down since the 1980s. Silver's high in 1980 was $50. We haven't taken out silver in all that time. What's silver right now? $23? It was $50 in the 1980s. It's $23.38. So they can clearly suppress the price of gold and silver. They seem to be having a much harder time with Bitcoin. And so what I have that's liquid, I put into Bitcoin. Now, I understand that I got in early, but if I were new to money, if I just turned 18 today, I am clearly not 18, but if I had just turned 18 and I got a job, in a couple of weeks when I got my first check, whatever, I don't know, maybe you cleared $300-400. If I'm going to start a savings account, I would start a Bitcoin savings account. for long-term storage. I would not store even $100, even $30. I would not store it in the US dollar. I would pay myself my 10% savings in Bitcoin. Because even though Bitcoin has already run, and it has, like, here, look at the 1 year. Right? Yeah, it started, way down here. And yeah, it's ran up to 52,000 now. It went as high as 69,000. You see how it's basically going straight up. It has a 1 year pullback. So you have like 3 years of positive, 1 year pullback, up and down. But as long as Washington, D.C. operates its budget with a deficit, to reach that deficit, they're going to either raise taxes, which pisses everybody off, or they're going to just create more money digitally. So what they've been doing for all this time since 1971 was increasing the amount of money exists. And the reason they had to take us off the gold standard is because they were increasing the amount of dollars that existed with the gold standing. And what happened was France wanted their gold back, because we hold a lot of countries' gold in the Federal Reserve up there in New York. So we were already creating more money with the gold standard, and when somebody called us on it and was like, give us our gold, we went off the gold standard. Now, I don't remember if we actually gave them their gold back or not. I don't care. I don't care about France. But we already had to default. We did not have enough gold for all the money we created. France had a suspicion of that, right? France has been around. France is older than us by a long, long way. And they knew what we were doing. So, as long as the United States federal government is operating in a way where when they're short of money, they just make more money, you need to have something outside of their system. Bitcoin, gold, silver, even real estate is denominated in the dollar. So, I have a house and I bought it so I could freeze the cost of shelter, but I would not buy rental property. I don't want rental property denominated in the dollar. Why they hyperinflate. To me, I don't know the official term of hyperinflation, but every year they're putting 1.7 billion onto this. 10 years, that's 17 billion on top of this. That's 51. In 10 years, this will be 17 trillion on top of this. And that's if something special doesn't happen. And something special is always going to happen because they need an excuse to create more money. Because the American people have figured out that creating more money makes the cost of things go crazy. Now, if you look at this and you come down here, let's see. So college tuition in 2000 was $10,000. It's $26,000. Healthcare costs in 2000, $5,300. Now it's 14 grand. All right. A new car in 2000, 22,000. Average car now, 50,000. Median new home. It was $162,000 in 2000. It's 420 grand. Now check out, this is the nut kicker. Median income in 2000, 31 grand. Median income today, $39,000. They only let it go up like 8 grand. Meanwhile, everything else has exploded. A new home, that's more than double. A car, that's more than double. Tuition, more than double. Healthcare cost, almost triple. Any money you want to save long term has got to be saved outside the dollar. I suggest you use Bitcoin. Now, rental property is nice because you can put 20% down and then, a lender comes along and lends you 80%, and then a tenant comes along, and then you can rent the property out to the tenant, and the tenant can give you money, and then hopefully, after what you put down, the tenant's monthly rent is enough to cover the cost of the mortgage to the lender. Maybe even you get $100, $200 profit. That's cool. That's a good deal because you only put 20% down. Somebody else is giving you 80%. Nobody's giving you 80% for Bitcoin or bonds or gold, right? You have to front the whole cost, the whole 100% yourself. So rental property can be good. But right now, the way they're ripping this, 1.7 trillion every year. What are we talking about? 2% of the total debt we're adding on every year? Is that right? No. 5%. Is that right? Let me see. 10% is 3.4 trillion. Half of that, yeah. So 5% of the national debt we're adding on each year with our budget deficit. So we're increasing this by 5% a year. What this means is you always have to pay interest on this debt. So at a certain point, you're going to have to go back to zero interest rates. Otherwise, all your money is going to be going to interest on the debt. And that's when you collapse. That's when it collapses. So you want to have something outside of that. For the gold people, according to this usdebtclock.org, that's where I got all this stuff from. It says paper to silver ratio. That means they estimate that for every amount of silver that's represented in the system, there's 392 people with a claim on every 1 ounce of silver. And gold, it's 120. So the gold and silver people are like, eventually we're going to get paid if we just sit on this. But they've been sitting on it since 1980. The Hunt brothers was 1980. This is 2024. They've been suppressing your answer to their problem for 44 years. They let gold go up a little bit, but come on. This is nuts. Silver? That's definitely not your answer. And then you look at Bitcoin. They have a hard time controlling this, right? Look at it. Look how quickly it went to 10,000, 20,000. It came out in 09. 2 years in, it's 11, 12, 13. Right? 8 years. In 17, it rips to 20K. And look how down, 20K is way down here. All these years, it's been above it. It's nuts. It's nuts. I think Bitcoin is the best answer based on price performance. And then look at gold the last 10 years. Let's go to the metals. Look at silver the last 10 years. Oh, great. Silver was, in 17, silver was $17. It went as high as $29. Woo! And I used to have gold and silver. I sold all that crap. Look at gold. Look at gold. It went from $1,200. Yeah, in 17. 17 is the year an ounce of gold was $1,200 and 1 Bitcoin was $1,200. And look, it went up fine. You went from, $1,200 to $2,000. Was that, 75%, 80%, something like that? You made $800 on $1,200. Right? Well, it's more like 67%. And look at Bitcoin. Oh, I'm so stupid. I fought to keep my gold and silver, and I sold Bitcoin in 15, in 2016, in 2017. I'm so dumb. And look, I'm not a rich guy, but like I said, if I were starting today, I got a new job today, and I'm living at home with my parents. This is my first job. Let's say I'm 18, my first job, and I get a check for $316, but I can save some because I'm at home. My Your parents are like, yeah, you got to pay rent because you're working now, but we're going to let you save. You just kick in, $300, but keep your first check. I'm going to go open up a savings account, but I'm not going to open up a bank account and save it in dollars. There's all kinds of exchanges. I'm not going to say, who to go with, but I would open up a Bitcoin account. And then there are these other ones, but the only one that I like for saving money is Bitcoin. I think if you're a millennial, if you're a millennial, you've definitely been working, but if you're Generation Z and you just start working and you want to save money, the device to save it in is Bitcoin. It is not the dollar. Because until Washington, D.C., basically, there's no reason to put anything in Bitcoin if we're running balanced budgets with no debt. Right? Because your treasury is probably giving you some money. Like right now, what are they giving you on the 1 year? If you put some money in the 1 year treasury bill, they'll give you almost 5% on it. But what's the inflation rate? I mean, I showed you this. It's 2024. 24 years ago, a house, there's the house, was $162,000. Today, it's $420,000. So what do you save money for? Right? A house. You save money for a car, and you save money, have 6-month reserves, whatever. And you save for your kid to go to college. I mean, you're saving money in the dollar while it's being devalued and the purchasing power is being diminished. And their target is 2% a year, which means, if you know about the rule of 72, you take the rate of interest, you divide it into 72, that number you get is how many years before the original capital doubles, before you pay out in interest the amount that you borrowed. So at 2% in 36 years, your purchasing power is cut in half. The price of everything doubles. And you start working at 18, 36 years, you're 54. Our kid's going to be going to college. Are you going to just start buying a house at 54? No, you're 54, you're thinking about retirement. You don't want to be some workhorse that's just out in the field pulling a plow your whole life. You want to be able to relax and have some of the good life, which most of us don't get to the end. That's why I enjoyed myself tremendously in my 20s and 30s and 40s. I ain't no workhorse. I ain't sitting here slaving away for somebody else to make money. But that's another point. So, if you want to deal with a mortgage and you live in Texas, I'm a mortgage broker. I only handle Texas residential properties. I don't do commercial. I don't do any mortgages outside the great state of Texas. Go to rockchainmortgage.com, fill this out, let me know what you're thinking. Freezing the cost of a mortgage is good, depending on your buy-in. And, I keep waiting for the 20% collapse in housing prices. And I thought it would have happened last year. I thought it was going to happen in 22. It's just not happening, The big collapse in housing prices in 2007, 2008, 2009, that happened because there are a bunch of ARM loans that reached maturity and people couldn't refinance. So they lost the home. And a lot of very angry people wrecked those homes because they felt like they got screwed over. Get some advice. Get some guidance before you just go to your bank and get a mortgage. It's complicated. All right, it's a mortgage is not buying something at Target or buying a car. You don't even have to worry about a prepayment penalty. You don't have to worry about arm rates. You don't have to worry about the 10-year treasury bond so much. A mortgage is complex. So, hit me up if you're looking to get a property in Texas. It does make sense to freeze the cost of your shelter. But if you're thinking about saving up for a home, I would be saving my money in Bitcoin and not the dollar. Because if it's going to take you a while to get up a healthy down payment, 20%, on a $420,000 property, you're talking about 20% of that is at least 80 grand plus closing costs, 90 grand, 95 grand. Whew. You want to have some help in getting that number. And historically, if you hold Bitcoin 10 years, you make a lot of money. Alright, this is 2024. If you've been holding Bitcoin since 2014, you should be a happy guy. I traded in and out of it because I am stupid. So I'm just telling you, if you buy and hold Bitcoin, if you bought and hold in 2009, you're feeling real good. 10, you're feeling good. 11, feeling good. 12, feeling good. 13, feeling good. 14, feeling good. 15, feeling good. 16, feeling good. If you bought the top in 2017 at like $19,950, it's $52,000 right now. You doubled that. You're on the way to a triple from the high of 17. If you bought in 18, you're feeling good. If you bought in 19, you feel good. Now, if you bought in 2020, it hit 30K, I think, the last day of the year. You're feeling good. If you bought in 2021, over 52K right now, you're probably bitchy. But come on, man. I mean, if you bought in 2022, you feel good. If you bought in 2023, you feel good right now. So, I think holding the dollar the last 10 years, you'd be feeling pretty pissed off. So, think about that. Thanks for watching.